The war in West Asia has forced U.S. partners in the Gulf to rethink their alliance with Washington. Not just the regional security architecture, but even the economic and political linkages are being restructured. And leading this change is the UAE. A report in the Wall Street Journal says the UAE has opened talks with the U.S. for a wartime financial lifeline. According to the report, UAE Central Bank Governor Khalid Mohammed Balama has discussed the idea of a currency swap line with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and officials from the Federal Reserve as well. The request underscores the hit to the Emirati economy and its status as a global financial hub since the beginning of the Israel-US war on Iran. The war has significantly damaged Emirati oil and gas infrastructure, and with global shipping coming to a halt in the Strait of Hormuz, the UAE has been able to sell its oil using tankers, stripping it of a key source of dollar revenues. The U.S. naval blockade has added another layer of uncertainty, turning the critical waterway into the new battleground. But it is not just Iran. Gulf countries like the UAE are also feeling the heat. UAE's Industry Minister Sultan Al Jaber has called for reopening the strait, and in a strongly worded post on X, the minister stressed that the waterway cannot operate under threat and must be returned to the world as it was before the war. Well, questions are also being asked about the U.S. security umbrella in the region. For years, Gulf states have poured billions into the THAAD and Patriot missile defense systems sold by the U.S. In fact, in May last year, the Saudis had sealed a $142 billion arms package, which included THAAD and Patriot missiles, but Iranian retaliatory attacks, especially with cheap Shahed drones, exposed the limitations of the U.S. missile defense systems. The string of U.S. military bases in the Gulf is also under the scanner. Abdul Khalik Abdullah, a prominent political commentator in the UAE, has questioned whether the UAE needs the U.S. to defend itself. In a post on X, he called on the UAE to consider closing the American bases, calling them a burden instead of a strategic asset. Since the beginning of the war, Iran has repeatedly hit multiple U.S. bases in the Gulf, calling them legitimate targets for retaliation, turning U.S. bases into a liability for the Gulf.